In this lecture, I'll talk about the early interest of sociologists in religion, some of the reasons why sociologists are interested in this topic, what a sociological perspective on religion involves, and the issue of whether religion can be fully explained in sociological terms. Sociologists have studied religion right from the beginning of the discipline in the 19th century. It was a central concern of the first generation of sociological thinkers and those who influenced them. Major figures in the history of the discipline, such as Auguste Comte, Karl Marx, Emile Durkheim, Max Weber and George Simmel, all contributed in various ways to the sociology of religion. The French philosopher Auguste Comte, who coined the term sociology, even saw religion as a replacement for existing religions, as a new religion of positivism. For Comte, positivism was the view that only the methods of the natural sciences could provide knowledge of human nature and society. He thought positivism was valuable for its potential to solve social problems and to reorganize society. He even developed a blueprint for a new social order which had a religion of humanity as its ethical basis. Comte also recognized the importance of religion in creating social bonds between people. However, his work has been largely overshadowed by the work of other scholars in the sociology of religion, such as Marx, Weber and Durkheim. Later work in the sociology of religion has often been developed in dialogue with the work of these early scholars. Just to pick one example, one of the most famous works in the sociology of religion, Max Weber's The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism, was concerned with the question of the role played by religion in social change. Weber wanted to understand why a system of rational capitalism developed in the West from about the 17th century onwards, when it didn't develop in other countries such as China and India, which were actually more economically and technologically developed than the West at that time. A key part of his explanation was that the Reformation of the Catholic Church in the 16th century and the rise of Protestantism in Europe changed people's attitudes to work, business and money-making. This in turn enabled people to take advantage of the economic opportunities capitalism provided to make money with a good conscience. Sociologists are interested in studying religion for at least three main reasons. The first, fairly obvious reason, is that religion is simply very important in the lives of many people around the world. About 85% of the world's population affirm some kind of religious belief, with Christians, Muslims and Hindus making up the three largest religious groups. In Australia, according to the 2011 census, 68% of the population affirmed a religion, with Christians making up 61% of the Australian population. Religious ideas help people to interpret their experiences. Religious values influence many people's actions, and religious organisations and communities provide many people with fellowship, aid and support. Sociologists seeking to understand people's culture, forms of social organisation and practices can't avoid then understanding the role that religion plays in their lives. They also need to understand the consequences of religious beliefs and practices for the wider society, which might contain non-religious elements or a diversity of faiths. Second, religion seems to exist in all known human societies, but it takes different forms. This was perhaps first noticed by the ancient Greek philosopher Xenophanes, who noticed that the Ethiopian gods were black and had stub noses, while the Thracian gods had red hair and light blue eyes. The difference in religious beliefs and practices between societies is something that is noticeable and it needs explanation. Third, religions change over time in response to different social conditions. Older religions may decline in membership or popularity and new religions emerge. One theme in the sociology of religion, for example, is the rise of New Age religions and spiritual movements, as well as neo-paganism. Established religions may also change as a result of crisis, scandal or changing social conditions. The child sexual abuse scandal in the Catholic Church, for example, has exposed the institutional failure of the Church to protect children from harm and to report perpetrators of sexual abuse to the police. It's been immensely damaging to public trust and confidence in the Church. This can lead people to abandon their faith, leave the Church altogether, or decide against becoming a priest or a nun. A sociological perspective on religion is concerned with understanding religion as a social phenomenon. From this perspective, you'd emphasise that quite apart from the supernatural or spiritual dimensions of religion, its expression remains anchored in human ideas, symbols, feelings, practices and organisations, as well as being an active influence on social interactions, structures and processes. Social scientists are interested then both in the way that society affects religion and the way that religion affects society. Finally, an important question in the sociology of religion concerns its appropriate scope and limits. In other words, can the sociology of religion fully explain religious phenomenon, or are there aspects of religion that actually transcend sociological explanation? One way to think about this is to ask whether the beliefs of a particular religion like Christianity are true, in the same sense that, say, the figures provided for the population of Australia is true. Many sociologists would be reluctant to face this question head-on and might say that it's not a legitimate issue for them to deal with. After all, religions usually make at least some claims about the world which are not empirically testable. These might include claims about the existence of God, the existence of an afterlife, or claims that God has divinely revealed aspects of His plan to chosen human beings. For many sociologists, these claims would not have any objective answers. Instead, they'll say that they should simply be taken as true relative to the social group that they emanated from. The general tendency would be to bracket off the question of whether religious beliefs are true because of the difficulty of empirically testing them, or because it's not seen as part of sociology's responsibility in the first place. Instead, one can accept the fact that religious people have beliefs about things, including supernatural phenomena, and see the sociologist's role as one of investigating the social causes of those beliefs. However, this approach can also be problematic because for religious believers themselves, the most important thing about their beliefs is precisely their truth. If sociologists completely ignore this and explain people's beliefs purely in terms of the social factors which cause them, then they're implicitly raising the possibility that those beliefs are false. Needless to say, the adherents of any religion are unlikely to be very responsive to this sort of interpretation of their own religion. What this issue indicates is that it's important for sociologists to be aware of the problems that can arise from the bracketing of religious truth claims and to be reflexive about the extent to which religion can be explained entirely in sociological terms. In this way, sociologists will be able to contribute a great deal to the understanding of religion with their theories and empirical research, without necessarily assuming that religion is purely and simply a product of social factors and circumstances. In summary, I talked first about how the study of religion was a central concern of sociologists from the 19th century, and later sociological research often developed in dialogue and engagement with this early work. Second, sociologists are interested in studying and understanding religion because of its importance in people's lives, its social implications, its diversity of forms between societies, and the way it changes over time. Third, a sociological perspective on religion is concerned with understanding the social basis, aspects, meanings, and implications of religion, including the way it both affects and is affected by society. Fourth, there are legitimate questions about the scope and limits of the sociology of religion and whether or not a fully social explanation of religion can be given.